All right, in Studio 2, if we want to measure the output of the group, we can use the onboard oscillator. It's right here. There's a frequency. We'll turn that up to 1K. If you do the times 10, that would be 10K, but we want to do 1K, and we want it to go the internal oscillator. There's also an input for an external oscillator, but we're going to use the internal one. We will assign that to a group output. Let's do group 1. So I'm going to put group 1 up to 0. I'm going to make sure I assign the oscillator to group 1. And if we look at our meters, we'll assign this to look at our groups. So this first one, as I turn this knob here, this is the level knob for the oscillator. As I turn that up, I'll start to get a level. And we'll put that up to 0. So we have now a 1 kilohertz tone, sine tone, going to the output of group 1, because there's a sign there, and that group 1 is, up to 0. If I bring that down, of course, that affects our output. So I'll bring that back up to 0, about to 0. We get 0. We can calibrate that a little more careful there. So that's 0. So now we're outputting a 1 kilohertz tone out the group. Let's go over to the patch bay. We'll use our TT to female XLR. And I'm going to find group output number 1 right there. And we'll get our female XLR there. Here's our testing meter. I'm going to take my test probes, and couldn't do that one-handed, but I've inserted into pins 2 and 3. It's a little tight fit, so you just kind of work it in there. You don't have to be too obnoxious with it, just make sure it's making connections. So now we can look at our meter that's set to AC voltage, and we're getting 0.779 volts, or 790 millivolts. If we so this console is definitely doing a 0 VU is equal to 0 dBu output. So if I increase this to +4, normally we hear +4 dBu is professional line level. So if I do that, +4, then I get a reading like 1.23 or 1.24 volts. So that's Studio 3 and the Soundcraft MH4 console.